What if we told you that the world is heading towards a massive economic crash in 2024, and that one of the most successful investors in history is warning you about it? Would you listen to him or would you ignore him? We will reveal the serious warning that Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, has issued for the world's biggest crash in 2024, and what you can do to prepare and protect yourself. According to Munger, a prominent investor and vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, the United States is currently experiencing an inflationary bubble that is unprecedented in its history. He warns that this bubble could lead to serious trouble, and the consequences may be worse than what Paul Volcker was dealing with in the 1970s. Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, has recently warned that the world is facing the biggest inflationary bubble in history and that it is going to burst soon. He's also shared his thoughts on how this is going to unfold and elaborated on the difficulty of building wealth for the young generation of today compared to his. According to him, we are flirting with serious trouble, and the consequences may be worse than what Paul Volcker was dealing with in the 1970s. Charlie Munger's warning about the biggest inflationary bubble in history is based on the current economic conditions in the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to unprecedented levels of government spending and monetary stimulus, which have increased the money supply and created a lot of liquidity in financial markets. This has led to a surge in asset prices such as stocks, real estate, and cryptocurrencies. However, this liquidity is not translated into higher economic growth or productivity, which means that the increase in asset prices is not sustainable. Moreover, the supply chain disruptions caused by the pandemic have led to shortages of goods and services, which have further fueled inflation. Munger warns about the biggest inflationary bubble in world history bursting and shares his thoughts on how it is going to unfold. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises and subsequently purchasing power falls. Central banks attempt to limit inflation and avoid deflation in order to keep the economy running smoothly. However, the current situation is more complex and difficult to deal with because of the high levels of debt in the world economy. Moreover, the young generation of today faces more challenges in building wealth than his generation did. The cost of education, healthcare, and housing has increased significantly, which has made it harder for young people to save and invest. This, coupled with the low interest rates, has made it difficult for them to earn a decent return on their savings. According to Munger, we're flirting with serious trouble, and the consequences may be worse than what Paul Volcker was dealing with in the 1970s. Paul Volcker was an American economist who served as chairman of the Federal Reserve under Presidents Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan from August 1979 to August 1987. He is most noted for having ended the high levels of inflation seen in the United States during the 1970s and early 1980s. Munger elaborates on the difficulties of building wealth for the young generation of today compared to his. This could be due to several factors, including increased competition, higher cost of living, and the changing nature of work and the economy. The potential bursting of this inflationary bubble could lead to a severe economic downturn worse than a recession. A recession is a significant decline in economic activity that lasts more than a few months, visible in industrial production, employment, real income, and wholesale retail trade. A bursting bubble often leads to a recession, but given the unprecedented scale of this inflationary bubble, the aftermath could be even worse. It's important to note that while Munger's warning is concerning, it's based on his analysis and perspective. Each person has a unique experience, and there is no guarantee for future profitability or success. Therefore, while it's important to consider such warnings from experienced and successful investors like Munger, it's also crucial to do your research. Consult with a financial advisor and make informed decisions based on your financial situation and risk tolerance. However, Munger's warning is not a fact but an opinion. He is basing his opinion on his own experience and analysis, which may not be accurate or complete. He does not know for sure what will happen in the future, and neither does anyone else. Therefore, while it is also important to listen to Munger and other successful investors, it is also important to do your research, talk to a financial advisor, and make your own decisions based on your situation and goals. You should not unthinkingly follow or ignore Munger, but use your judgment and common sense. The factor that Munger mentions is the low interest rates. He says that the central banks have kept the interest rates near zero or even negative for a long time to stimulate the economy and prevent deflation. He says that this has made borrowing cheaper and easier, which has fueled the debt levels of governments, corporations, and consumers. He says that this has also discouraged saving and investing and has encouraged speculation and consumption. He says that this has created a situation where the debt is unsustainable and that it is only a matter of time before the interest rates rise and the debt burden becomes unbearable. Another factor that Munger highlights is technological innovation. He says that the rapid advancement of technology, such as the internet, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and renewable energy, has created new opportunities and challenges for the economy and society. He He says that this has increased the productivity and the efficiency of the businesses and the workers, which has lowered the costs and increased the profits. He says that this has also increased the competition and the disruption, which has forced the businesses and the workers to adapt and innovate. He says that this has created a situation where the winners take all and the losers fall behind. He says that this has increased the growth and diversity of the economy and society, which has benefited the consumers and the producers. He says that this has also increased the complexity and the uncertainty, which has exposed the economy and society to various risks and shocks. He says that this has created a situation where the events in one part of the world can affect the other parts of the world, and vice versa. Munger also elaborates on the difficulty of building wealth for the young generation of today compared to his. He attributes this to several factors such as increased competition, higher costs of living, and the changing nature of work and the economy. He suggests that young people should be more adaptable, resilient, and prudent in their financial decisions and avoid being lured by the false promises of easy money and instant gratification. The potential bursting of this inflationary bubble could lead to a severe economic downturn worse than a recession. Some of the possible effects of a burst include a sharp decline in asset prices can have a significant impact on the economy. When the price of assets such as stocks, bonds, real estate, and cryptocurrencies fall, it can lead to a reduction in wealth for investors and homeowners. This can result in less consumer spending, which can slow down economic growth. Unemployment can surge as businesses struggle with reduced demand, lower profits, and higher production costs. This can lead to lower incomes, increased poverty, and reduced consumer spending, further slowing down the economy. Credit availability can contract as banks and lenders become more risk-averse and tighten their lending standards. This can make it harder for individuals and businesses to borrow money, refinance their debts, or invest in new projects, which can slow down economic growth. Central banks may respond to these challenges by lowering short-term interest rates to stimulate the economy. This can make borrowing cheaper, encouraging spending and investment. However, it can also reduce the returns on savings and investments and create more inflationary pressures in the long run. This is a delicate balance that central banks must manage carefully. A fall in short-term interest rates as central banks try to stimulate the economy by lowering the cost of borrowing. However, this could also reduce the return on savings and investments and create more inflationary pressures in the long run. These effects could create a vicious cycle of negative feedback loops where the decline in one sector of the economy affects the others and vice versa. This could also prolong the duration and severity of the economic downturn and make it harder for the economy to recover. Therefore, policymakers, businesses, and consumers need to be aware of the risks and challenges posed by this inflationary bubble. Do you think Munger is right about the inflationary bubble and the crash in 2024? What are you doing to prepare and protect yourself? Let us know in the comments below. Please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends and family. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our future videos.